stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So this is the meeting of the Historic Preservation Board for Friday, June 12th, 2026. Can I get a roll call from Madam Clerk, please?
Member Hurley?
Present.
Member Zaleski?
Present.
Chair Lowry?
Present.
We don't have a quorum at the current time, but we should by 1:30.
Yes, it's my understanding that Member DeShiel should show up at 1:30, and so we can do a few things before that time frame. And for the audience out there, for us to do what are called action items, we have to have a quorum, which means, in this case, we have to have 4 people out of the 5 available, and 1 is definitely not going to be here. So when the 4th comes, we can take those action items up. So in the interim, we're going to move a few things around before we approve the agenda. So can we do the approval of minutes now? We can't do any of that. That's not.
We can do public comment.
You're almost going to turn this thing upside down. And
Yes, I know, right? So I'm going to go, we'll start then with discussion items. And so, Brandon, as well, if we want to add some discussion items, can we do that now even though we haven't approved the agenda?
I don't see why not if you're not taking action or making recommendations.
Okay, so what I'd like to add to the discussion items is just a short discussion about the next Historic Board meeting, which is on June 9th. Excuse me, July 9th. And if we can add to the discussion items, Brandon, you'd give me some information yesterday about a proposal to change the quorum to, on certain items that we probably don't need to have quorums on. And then we also, so I would add those as discussion items 5C and 5D. So one on next month's meeting and the other on procedural change of some of the voting where we may not need a quorum. Okay, so let's just talk about those for a moment. Well, is somebody here on 5A for the design review?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with that. So 5A is design review, case number 26103 for the home at 1807 Pass-a-Girl Way. Is that yours, Mr. Berry?
Yes, I have a short presentation. We also have the owner and their agent present. If we can pull up the PowerPoint, please.
And might I just say, we have a new commissioner today, or not commissioner, excuse me, a new member, Ms. Zaleski. Am I saying that right? Or
You are.
Okay,
Yes.
Zaleski. And I just encourage her to ask any questions if she doesn't understand some of what we're going on. This is something we typically do monthly of these little discussion items. So, go ahead, Mr. Berry.
While we're waiting on the PowerPoint, I also wanted to thank former Vice Chair Hawkinsmith for her time on the board. She started with this board in March of 2020. She served for the last 6 years now. Did a great job, and her work with the museum is very much appreciated. So thank you for her time on the board.
Yes, I agree. Thank you for saying that. I only just found out that she had resigned just about an hour ago. So, yes, she did an excellent job, and we're sorry to see her go, but I'm sure she'll do a fine job.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay.
So it looked like let me check on the PowerPoint. Looks like we're having some issues with the presentation. Do you happen to have, does the applicant have any renderings printed out that you might want to show to the board? Or was it all digital?
It's mostly digital.
Okay. Let me ask IT, is it possible to pull up the packet? I can show some of the slides from the packet if we're able to get that up on the screen.
And what page is that going to be on? Do you know offhand? I know it's way at the end.
I don't know offhand. It is toward the end of the packet. There we go.
Oh, it's up. It's up now. Okay.
So this is a design review for a new single-family home proposed to be constructed at 1807 Paso Girl Way. It's case number 26103. Rios Architecture and Zach Gange, KH Build for Victor Tonis and Wendy Hopwood are the agents and applicants. This is a design review for a new house large structure located at 1807 Paso Girl Way. So you can see here the proposed site plan. It is a 2-story structure, relatively close to the same footprint on the ground level as the upper story, with the front balcony, walkout deck, and porch located along Paso Girl Way. It does connect with the 19th Avenue street end to the north of here. On the east side is commercial development. This is a residentially zoned property and is being developed as such. You can see here some axonometric views of the home. It is a 2-story structure. You can see the front and rear elevations. This is, of course, a waterfront home. And some side elevations. The top of the screen is looking from the street end. The bottom of the screen is toward the neighboring property to the south.
Can I ask you a question there? Just on the southern exposure there, the first floor, we see some shading. I assume that's because there's a recessed area there.
It is recessed, yes.
All right.
And that can be seen more clearly on this slide. You can see the enclosed upper level on the left side. That is the first living floor, second floor of the structure. That includes the living space, and then there is ground floor non-habitable space. There will be a 3-car garage that is oriented toward the street end, and then a covered deck area on the south side.
So that whole, basically that whole ground floor right side is just covered and open.
Correct.
Okay.
Viewed from Paso Girl Way, it's enclosed, but it does become open on the south side. Mm-hmm.
All right.
So staff had a few comments. None of them pertain to the design. We did feel that the home overall exemplified the intent of the overlay. The applicant's done a very good job at fitting in with surrounding development, making the home compliant with the floodplain regulations, but also maintaining the scale and the design elements of the area. We had a few comments that we shared with under the zoning cover. The applicant has acknowledged these. The first was just that the width of the driveway slightly exceeds the allowable width. They will need to break up the driveway on that north side. There is some additional landscaping that's required along the northern frontage yard of 19th Avenue. There is one understory, so like a sea grape or a buttonwood that would be required for each 20 feet of home frontage. The frontage fence on the west side, so the primary Paso Girl frontage, is permitted. It's not required due to the plan showing intent to plant an opaque hedge. I just wanted to note that we do have fence material standards in Paso Girl. It must be wood, shell, or concrete if they are proposing to install it within that frontage. Due to the amount of impervious material on the site, the size of the building, and the walkways on the north side, the land area available for backyard amenities in the future, like a pool, will be limited. If they have any intent to later add a pool or other significant accessory features, we do ask that they just bring that up now so we prevent any kind of issues in the future. We have noted that the frontage sidewalk will need to be removed and replaced with a hex stamp sidewalk. We do now have a hex paver supplier for that sidewalk if they would like to replace it with hex paver, and that is a requirement to meet the resolution 2023-04 frontage requirement. We also asked that they address how they will meet the coastal A construction requirements. That's more on the building construction side, but they are proposing concrete pilaster walls. The coastal A zone, the area where we expect wave action of 1.5 to 3 feet during a 100-year storm, does cut through the middle of this property. So we just wanted to make sure that they were aware of that requirement and that the building has been constructed to accommodate for that. This subject residence is a proposed replacement of a former single-family resident that sustained substantial damage in the 2024 hurricanes and has since been demolished. In conjunction with the design review, the applicant is requesting an administrative variance to the southern side yard setback of 7 feet to accommodate a home with a setback of 6 foot 1 inch. So the home is proposed in the drawings that you've seen on the screen to be set just under a foot less in setback on the south side than what is required by the Land Development Code. We expect this case to be decided by the end of July. Those cases are decided administratively. They do not go on to the Board of Adjustment unless they are appealed. If you have any other comments that you feel would help with ensuring the compatibility of the structure within the district, you're welcome to make them. This is a single-family use. There are no other form or mass limitations other than those that are required under the design regulations. As I mentioned, we do have the agent and the owner of the property present.
Okay. Couple questions, Brandon, before we speak to them. When we talk about the sidewalk and the pavers, are they responsible for the cost of that?
For the initial installation, yes, the city, of course, maintains after the installation.
Okay, so all right. Okay. And, all right. Anybody have any questions of Brandon before we speak to these folks?
I don't.
Okay, whoever wants to come forward, just step forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Victor Tonis, the owner, 1807 Passigrel Way.
Okay.
And I just want to take a minute to, first thank you for the time today. And special thanks to Brandon Berry for all the prompt and professional guidance he's given me throughout this process. It's technical, it's complex, and I wasn't familiar with any of it, so thank you very much for that. Just wanted to say that, Wendy and I had spent many months really seeking out the best possible builder, architect, and design team since the demolishing of our home. And, we really feel confident now that we found the right one, and we've come up with a beautiful home design that we feel will not only be respectful but complementary to, the character of Passigrel. And also, very importantly, resilient and hardened for flood and hurricane, protection.
Right.
We want to meet or exceed those requirements as well. Basically, we are asking for a minor administrative variance to accommodate the originally designed width of the home. It's going to be 11 inches is what we need, basically. And, this will allow us to have the home totally intact as it's designed without having really any interference or detriment to the community or the public or anything of that nature. But once again, we appreciate your consideration, and we're happy to move forward, and we'll...
Let me ask you a couple questions. Did you own the home that was demolished?
Yes.
So you've been living on Passigrel for a while,
Correct.
Right? Okay, good.
We've been renting down here ever since as well.
Well, I would commend you on your design and your feel for the neighborhood, and
Thank you,
I
sir.
think it's. I'm not just speaking for myself. I think it's a beautiful addition. Anytime there's something under 3 stories, I get very excited about it because mostly everyone's got to build max. You do understand that the administrative variance for the 11 inches is nothing we have control over.
I understand.
Other than, I will say, I think it's obviously pretty de minimis, and when you combine it with the design you've done and the way you're going to build, that it's it's a very nice design. I love the stone. I love the whole thing about it. Do you understand all the things the staff had pointed out, like the driveway?
Yes.
That you can amend, I guess you have
Need
to
to
put a
break it up.
median in that at some point or something?
That's already been addressed. We
Okay.
just haven't been able to get it back over to you, but it's already addressed in the plans.
And then knowing where you live, I would imagine probably bigger vegetation on the north side you'll be doing anyway, so that
Absolutely.
you don't want to look at the
Yeah.
Right?
Because of the
Let me
commercial.
say, you can't beat Auricas, okay? They grow fast and they grow tall, okay? But do whatever you want, but,
Okay.
right. The sidewalks. And so a number of years ago, when we were looking at Paschal, you know, historically they have those pavers that you still see down further south.
Right.
Those started to be replaced with poured cement with the hex block design on it, which, you know, doesn't look, I would say, doesn't look near as good. The city, you know, so people used to save those blocks so they could potentially use it. And I would guarantee you half the people in Paschal have a stack of them in their backyard, right? So, but the city now has a company that makes them.
Okay.
And I would just recommend, it would be up to you, but in my opinion, those hex blocks look so much better. And they have multicolored ones too. I don't know, we don't really have a position on whether you can use the multicolored ones there or not, do we? I mean, historically, they were usually red and white ones, you know?
Okay, yep.
So my suggestion would be that would, if you can do that, that would be a way to go. It might be more expensive than the poured sidewalk, I don't know. But if we can encourage people to start using those, that'll help a lot, I think.
And we would find that how?
I'm sure you can get, Brandon can tell you about it, but there's a purveyor that the city has just gotten involved in. In fact, they replaced a pretty good shot of sidewalk down on 10th, just across from the park there.
Yes.
I don't know if you noticed, it looks great. I mean, it really looks good.
Yeah,
So if you have a chance to look down, and there's a little design in that too, a little.
Yeah, if we can enhance that, we certainly will be interested in looking at that, sir.
Okay. Sean, do you have any questions, or Carolyn, do you have any questions of this? Okay. Well, excellent. And we have, the design's beautiful, and I think we all agree on that. And just any questions you might have for us about anything?
I really don't at this time. I really appreciate your feedback.
Well, I really appreciate you. Brandon does a great job. I appreciate you working with him. And I really appreciate your kind of commitment to this historic district there that keeps it looking like it should, we think, you know.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Very good, thanks.
Do you need to speak to us for any reason? You don't have to. Okay, I'm just saying, all right. Okay, and so just, you know, Carol, this is just an information-only scenario, so we appreciate your involvement. Thank you so much. Okay, so if we go back to, on discussion items, it says follow-up items. Is that, what do we have for that?
Chair, if you don't mind, with the informational items, those are also, they're just on the agenda if the board would like to discuss. These are both resubmittals. We do have the owners for
Okay.
1004. If you'd like to see them, if not, we could just let them know. They are on the call. I just wanted to potentially.
No, let's go ahead and go with those. So which one do you want to take first? If there's somebody here for that, A or B?
I don't believe we have anybody present for A, so if we could look at B first. if the
Okay,
board would
so
like
that's
to.
6A, 6B in the informational items, design review, resubmittal on 1004 Paschal Way.
Let me get down to that. So this is a resubmittal, and I believe we also have revised renderings that were sent over by the architect. I can attempt to get those pulled up.
Could you do that? Because I
Yes.
don't know if I've seen them. I'm familiar with the first submittal from a number of months ago.
Okay. So these, this shows the revised front rendering. This did come to the board, I believe, late last year for review. We have worked with our design reviewer on a few of the elements, particularly the horizontal wooden louvers on the ground level. When it had originally been submitted, it was a more transparent ground level. They have added the wood louvers that are visible here, and I believe there are a few other slides. It's a little hard to make out on the screen here, but they have added that horizontal screening down to the ground level to meet the minimum transparency requirement that we have in our land development code. They have also slightly modified the roof line, I believe, and we do have the owners present to comment on any additional changes that have been made. Our design reviewer felt that with the changes that they have met the requirements of the land development code, and this item, I believe, is currently in permitting, and we did agree to bring this back for the board to take a look once it had been submitted. So I'll just show, these are the, this is the view from the side, from the south side, looking from the alleyway toward the garage, and then the north view. So that's it for the elevations. I'll go back to the rendering. We do have the owners present on the call. Did you have anything you would like to add? Like to unmute?
Hi, this is Laura Davis. Thank you very much for having us. I believe our architect and our builder are also here present. Nate Myers and John are here as well. But thank you so much for having us, and we're very excited to rebuild in Paster Grove. We owned the house prior to this, and we miss coming down, and we're just very excited to rebuild, and we're hoping that the new design meets the expectations and the requirements.
Okay, can you, and maybe your architect can explain, but you know, I'm going back in memory of something from whatever 6 or 7 months ago. So what specifically has been modified? Is there, do you want to answer that, or do you want your architect to, to speak on that?
I think Nate would probably do a better job than me at addressing that. So since he is there, I think it would be great to have him speak.
Great, thank you. If you just
Thank you.
Yeah, state your name for the record, please.
Hello, Nate Meyer.
Okay, Mr. Meyer, can you tell us what's been modified?
Well, I think the main thing was adding the louver system on the ground level. I think the comments were that it was too open and transparent, so we're adding that system to kind of like screen. There's an outdoor living space beyond that, and then, you know, to the right is a solid storage room. So you can see there's just like a little opening with a gate in the low wall that's like centered on the house, and then as you walk up, there would be a gate in that louvered system to let you into like the outdoor living space. So it kind of separates the more open front yard. And
so, this picture that I'm looking at now, I don't know, it makes it look like, is the roof line really that much higher on the right-hand side than the left-hand side? Or is that just because it's designed with like an angle to it?
Well, it's both. The roof line takes on the angle of the site. And then, so on the right side, it is 3 stories. The left side is 2. And there's a living room on that left side. And then, so that, we brought the roof up. So it's not exactly like 2-story versus a 3-story volume. So it's more like 2.5 to 3. So that, I think maybe the angle makes it look like it's a lot taller, but
no, I guess there you go. See, what I'm saying is, if you go back that one just a minute ago, Brandon, and it looks like if you were to stand on the 3rd floor looking towards a Paster Grove Way, that there'd be a slope to your left, like it's on an angle, which it's not. It's obviously a flat roof, and it's a flat floor there.
If you're on the 3rd floor, kind of looking out to the water,
it makes it look like, as we look at this picture, the left side is lower than the right side.
Yeah.
But it's not. In reality, the floor, unless I'm.
I don't see.
Does anyone else see what I'm seeing?
It's a question about
look up there.
Where's the perception? If you're looking down and up if you're standing on ground level and looking up at it, is this just the view based on elevation, or does that actually have a higher top roof on the top patio? It looks like it.
It looks like it slants, but it doesn't really.
It may just be an optical illusion.
The perspective of where we're looking at the drawing isn't it?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're saying, to be honest.
Okay, see the right-hand side of the roof? That's clearly, in the picture, looks higher than the left-hand side of the roof. Is it actually that way, or is it a flat?
Yeah, it's higher.
It is higher. Okay, so where is that angle incorporated? Is it just in the roof the angle occurs? I mean, it looks like,
It's the roof and the balcony. So actually it starts at the low wall, and then that gets offset back to the balcony at level 2, and then that steps up to the level 3 balcony, and then the roof of level 3 are all at that same angle.
okay, the perception is though, if you were to drop a marble, it would roll off the side of the floor, but that's not.
Oh, I see what, yeah, it's not canted.
Yes,
Like-
okay, that's what I'm saying. So it's just, each floor level is flat. And now go back to the other picture, Brandon, if you would.
I see.
That's the east elevation.
What's that, Sean?
I think that's the east elevation.
It is, yes.
That's the elevation we want, right?
It's east front, yeah, it's like that's Paso Grove frontage.
Okay, so, and just so I'm clear on this, and the way this elevation is, on the left-hand side as we look at it, there's a second floor, and there's a roof on top of that second floor, right? What's that shaded area behind there that seems to go as high as the other part of the roof?
Well, way back in the distance, that's there's an office back there.
Okay, so let's see, can we get the west elevation then?
There really isn't one.
So this shows from the alley. If you're looking on the side, I believe does this show it best, Nate?
I would say both, maybe actually the south,
Okay.
because then it's, yeah. So those windows in the middle, those are facing the courtyard. So when you're looking at that east elevation from the street, you're seeing that kind of thin mass on the far left. You're seeing the face of that way in the back. If that makes sense. So those two like vertical pieces are set back off the property line 5 feet, and then that kind of big middle segment of wall is pushed back even further, so it makes the plans like a C shape.
All right, I'm still not quite, so I'm looking at this. This is the south visual, and that section in the front, not, just behind or just west of the porches in the front. We've got a 2-story structure, right? And the first structure has a little bit of a receding, first floor, again, a little shaded area down there, a little outdoor seated area. Okay. So from that structure, if you're to continue to go west, is there anything behind that? Is the 3-story structure behind that?
Yeah,
So the
you kind of pass through a courtyard, and then you get back to that 3-story structure there,
which is,
which is a little bit higher than the front 3 stories.
I see now, I see the rooftop there. Okay. Can you show me that other elevation, the western one? Okay. So, and from the back, it's almost a mirror in that on the left-hand side, it's only 2 stories, except for the front, it's 3 stories, so it's kind of been reversed from the back to front, the 3. Okay.
And even there on the right side, that's a carport, and then you can kind of see through the courtyard
Yep.
to the outdoor living, and then that screen system is
Okay.
beyond that.
And because these are so small, and you may know, Nate, but Brandon, the height issue is no issue. That's all under 28 feet.
It does meet the height limit. That was a comment I made on my initial pass. I haven't gone back and looked at it, but he's aware of the limitation to height, so we'll make sure that it complies.
Okay.
That was another change that was made too, was basically lowering that uppermost roof, the main upper roof, and then level 3
Okay.
was all dropped down.
That was a bit of a modification. Okay.
Part
that's
of,
fine.
part of plan review comments, yeah, so.
Okay.
It was like, since, I guess that happened in these last plan review comments, and then the screen was kind of worked on after
Yeah,
the.
I mean,
our
because we don't get those plan review things as it goes on. So the
Yeah.
last time we would have looked at this would have been, like I said, 7 months ago or whatever.
Mhm.
So, all right. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Myers about this situation?
I have one question. You said this was a carport, so is there not a garage door on this?
Not on that little right side, no.
okay.
The left side, there's a 2-car
That's what I
garage.
thought. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Myers.
Thank you.
Anything else the owner would like to add or anything? We appreciate what we've just heard, and this is just for informational purposes.
Are you speaking to me?
Yes, I'm just saying, if you have anything else to add, you can. If not, we can just go on.
No. Well, we just thank you for your time and for your consideration on this. My husband's also here, but I don't know if he has any words he wanted to say, but probably not. But we just, we just appreciate your time.
I'd love to just chime in and say, we've lived in Pastoral since 2010. So last couple of years have been tough after the storm for a lot of people, us, understandably too. And we're just excited to get back there. It's a lovely place, and it's where we always love being. So, we miss it, and we appreciate you guys reviewing all of our plans, and we're excited with our builder, John, and with our designer, our architect, Nate. They're just wonderful people, and we know we're going to make something beautiful down there to be part of the community again. Thank you, guys.
Well, certainly. And, I know this property well. I used to be your next door neighbor before you bought it. I lived in the condos right next door, so.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so
that's
the,
cool.
little real estate office is no more, right? So.
You were talking about the design on the front of the patios, how it looks in that picture like they're canted. It's not canted, but whenever you walk by it, you'll see that the angles are we designed that so it looks like that original little front roof of our old cottage. I don't know if you remember it, but how it kicked up and was angled with the property. So that was the one design feature that Nate was able to incorporate that followed the original kind of the layout of the original little cottage on that property. So that was something cool I thought Nate was able to do. And, so it follows the line of the property just like the old original cottage did.
Right.
So that was pretty cool. Anyway.
Well, this is, please take this in the humor it's intended, but when I lived there, 20-some years ago next door, and the people that lived there, they referred to it as the hot dog stand. So,
Yeah.
The hot dog
Yeah.
stand no longer exists.
Yeah,
All right,
no,
good luck.
it's sad.
Thank you so much for your time, too.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all.
All right. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we have, Danielle is here, so we can go back to having a roll call. Madam Clerk, if we can. I think that's probably the procedure.
Sure.
we need to
Member
do.
Hurley,
Present.
Member Zaleski,
Present.
Member Dashiell,
Here.
Chair Lowry,
Here,
we have a quorum.
okay. So let's go back now to approval of the agenda. We've already done a few things, but does anybody have anything they'd like to add to the agenda that has not already been added? Okay, seeing nothing, I would then make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Member Zaleski,
Approved.
Member Dashiell,
Yes.
Member Hurley,
Yes.
Chair Lowry,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, now this is the portion of the meeting that's called audience comments. I always have to say this, which is an opportunity, if there is anyone in the audience that wants to come forward and speak essentially about any issue they want to talk about, I would suggest that if it's something that's on this calendar, they can speak at the time that we get to the calendar. So just have to ask that for the record. Is anybody out there, any audience member that wishes to speak about something not on the agenda? Okay, seeing no hands, we'll go forward. Next is approval of the minutes from April 2nd, 2026. Has any of the members had an opportunity to read those minutes?
Go ahead.
I've read those minutes and have gone through everything, and I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting taking place on April 2nd, 2026.
I'll second that motion.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Member Hurley?
Yes.
Member Zaleski?
Yes.
Chair Lowry?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, that moves us to action items 4. First thing is election of officers for 2026 to 2027, in which we are required to elect a chair and a vice chair for a 1-year term. As it says, the board may opt to maintain current appointments. As we know, currently, I am the chair, and Tia Hawkinsmith was the vice chair who has resigned her position. So with that being said, is there anybody, how do you want to do this as far as anybody want to do the chair? Do you want me to continue? I'm happy to continue. I would just say that we've been making some slow progress with some things, and I think we're still trying to get some things done through the city. So unless someone else wants to put their name in for chair.
I'd make a motion to appoint Bill Lowry back as chairman.
And I would second that.
Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Member Hurley?
Yes.
Member Zaleski?
Yes.
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Chair Lowry?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, now for vice chair. Anybody want to volunteer that thinks they would like to do that before we start picking people?
Or does anyone have nominations?
Or does anybody have a nomination? Excuse me, yes. Well, I'll make a nomination. I would suggest, well, I think we just talk about it. You know, Sean, you've been on here for a long time, but you're kind of the silent assassin, so I don't want to.
Well, I did vice chair for many years and
Yes.
stepped out to let you and Tia kind of step into the position.
Right.
I'd be willing to do it again unless Member Dashiell had any interest
So
in.
Danielle, do you have any interest in doing it, or would you?
I think that the best bet would be for you to go ahead and take on that role as vice chair.
Okay.
Handle that responsibility.
I think I can do that, yes.
All right. Then I would make a motion to nominate Sean Hurley as vice chair.
I'll second that nomination.
Roll call, please.
Member Zaleski?
Yes.
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Member Hurley?
Yes.
Chair Lowry?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Now we are at 4B, local historic designation, case number 26056 for the Wharf Restaurant at 2001 Pastor Girl Way.
Staff does have a presentation. Gil, do you see, is Lynn here? Okay. All right, I'll present this item. If we could pull up the PowerPoint. So this is a local historic designation request for 2001 Pastor Girl Way, currently known as the Wharf Restaurant. This is a commercial property, case number 26056. The applicant owner is James Miller. They're requesting local historic designation for this property, which is located within the Pastor Girl National Register Historic District. You can see here on the zoning map, this is actually not within the Pastor Girl overlay. It's part of the 2-block area on the east side of Pastor Girl Way that is outside of the overlay, so it's not subject to the typical design requirements for new development and additions, but it is within what we, of course, know as Pastor Girl and is one of its main commercial areas, the other being, of course, 8th Avenue. Here's an aerial of the property. I'm sure the owner can go into more detail about this than I can, but my understanding is they do have some degree of ownership over the water. Of course, the building is located over water, and you can see that there on the parcel map. This is from the Pinellas County Property Appraiser's Office. A few years ago, they did go through a renovation, which involved a restoration and extension of some of the docks at the back of the property, but the building has been relatively unaltered in that time, at least from the outside. 2001 Paso Grill had its beginning in 1928 when it was originally constructed within the township of Paso Grill. It was known as Bell's Fish House after Harry Bell, a local fishing guide who was proprietor. Though the property does not have a Florida master site file at this time, the owner requests for local historic designation. We do feel that based on its history within the Paso Grills fishing industry that this property meets the criteria for local designation, and it was a contributing property in the category of local history. This is a very good example of a structure that is contributing based on its basis in community character and its development history. An interesting sidebar is that the first Harry H. Bell, there were 3 in all, met Clarence Birdseye in 1920.
Birdseye.
I was thinking it might have been Birdseye. In 1927, who pioneered a process for freezing food. Mr. Birdseye urged Mr. Bell to build a freezer for which he designed for his business. The Bells then went on to establish a frozen seafood business that continued to be used after moving the business from Paso Grill to St. Petersburg in 1960. Here's some photographs showing the structure. Another showing an aerial from 1940. An article from the St. Petersburg Times in 1956 about the freezer plant. Here's some photos of the building from the 1970s. Another. Here's some current photographs of the structure looking from Paso Grill Way. Another from the south looking north. And another looking out from the docks toward the back of the building. Staff supports the application to designate this property, which is located within the Paso Grill National Register Historic District, as a historic property. We find that it meets the significance area based on the broad cultural history of the Paso Grill commercial fishing component of Paso Grill in the city of St. Pete Beach. As this board knows, the city has been looking at restoration options for Mary Pier, which of course includes a enclosed structure over water. That is something that we face some challenges with in our restoration, and it's not something that, at least based on the current guidance that we've received, we are eligible for a substantial damage variance for. Now, this property actually falls, even though it's over water, it's within an AE flood zone rather than the velocity zone, which is where the Mary Pier is located, and I believe that might be the basis for our challenge. I bring this up because I just want the owner to know that if in the future they are looking for some kind of a substantial improvement variance, that is something we're going to have to look into to see whether they are eligible as those property owners who own historic properties that are located on land. They don't have to worry about these issues that that we face with structures over water. So I just wanted to bring that up, but we do certainly feel that the building is eligible for local registry listing on the basis of it being part of the broad cultural history of Paso Grill. So with that, we recommend approval of the designation for the Wharf Restaurant at 2001 Paso Grill Way. This is case number 26056.
All right, so let me ask you a question on that last part you brought up, and just kind of put it in other terms, maybe more layman terms. So the historic designation, if it gets approved, doesn't give them any kind of a leg up on doing substantial improvements. I mean, it could, but it might not. That's not the purpose of what we're doing here today.
It's possible, and they are not currently seeking a substantial. Right. I just wanted to let them know that that's typically a benefit that comes with the designation.
Right, and I'm glad you brought that up, and I just want to make sure that it's clear to anyone that's listening, but also the representative here and stuff, that would be a separate issue if they decide to do some sort of a substantial improvement. Having this historic designation doesn't necessarily change things. However, if that building let me ask you this, if that building was damaged in a future storm, could they rebuild it as is, get around the FEMA requirements because it's historically designated?
Well, with it being a commercial structure, they of course have different options. In a residential structure, they may be able to flood proof and otherwise. So there are options, but based on any kind of waiver, substantial improvement includes both improvement and damage. So that is something we would need to look into in the future.
I understand, but like when we talked about the Mary Pier and the problems with the Mary Pier, it's damaged. It was not a historic structure. And so they had to abide by the FEMA substantial damage kind of, we weren't able to avoid that as we could if it was a home over land that was historically designated.
Correct.
I just point that out so we kind of have a broader idea of what's going on. I don't know if there was an agent here earlier, but he may have stepped out.
And Chair, if I may, I know we understand we went out of order for this meeting, but since these are public hearings, it would be appropriate for us to swear in anybody who wishes to testify. I know we normally do that at the beginning of the meeting, but we went out of order today.
I forgot about that. But nobody's here to be sworn
Yeah,
in.
I just...
No, I appreciate that. I totally forgot about that. And I assume for informational items, that's not as important as, do you want me to swear in who people have already spoken?
For informational items, is not as important unless staff needs specifically sworn testimony as to a particular point. But these action items are public hearings.
Yes.
And the...
Okay, well, as I'm looking out in the audience, I know that I noticed the manager was here earlier, but I don't see him now, so I thought he was here when I started talking, so he's not going to be able to speak.
Okay, well, in that case, then I would suggest before we move on to the next item, we can do a general swearing in of everybody who wishes to testify, if that's okay with you.
If there's people here for that, to do that.
Yeah.
I assume there's, okay. All right, anybody have any comments on the board about what's going on here, or any questions?
No, I'm good.
I would point out just in some of those pictures how the wharf looks all kind of rusty and stuff, and that's by intent. I mean, some of that's new, but it's been designed to make it look like it has always kind of been and be old. So, so that's not for lack of upkeep. That's for aesthetic value, I'm going to say. All right, anybody have anything?
I'm good.
I would like to make a motion to approve the local historic designation, case number 26056 for the wharf at 2001 Paso Girl Way.
I'll second that.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Member Zaleski?
Yes.
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Member Hurley?
Yes.
Chair Lowry?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. And just bear with me on this for a moment. When we were talking earlier about, and I know we approved the agenda, and I don't know if this is an issue or not, but there was an item for discussion that I just wanted to bring up in reference, especially with a new member here, about plaques. Can I add that to a discussion item just later, just to talk about historical plaques?
If you wanted to make a motion to amend the agenda.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add as a discussion item the creation of historical plaques.
If staff could also ask that we move items 4C and 4D to the end of action items. I believe both the owners are not present yet, so I just want to make sure that we have someone available to speak to those.
Did we have a second?
Okay, you said for B and C, is that what you said?
So 4C and D, if we could take those after G, please.
Yes. Okay, so back on my motion. Can I get a second from anybody?
I'll second that.
Can I get Madam Clerk, get a roll call on the agenda amendment?
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Member Hurley?
Yes.
Member Zaleski?
Yes.
Chair Lowry?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And so I guess we'll add that as, I think, discussion item E. Is that where we're at, maybe? Okay, so then let's go to 4E, a certificate for appropriateness for the demolition, case number 26054 of the residents at 1401 Paso Girl Way.
And then if we could go ahead and swear in.
And if we could, Madam Clerk, can we get you to, thank you, can we get everybody sworn in that might testify?
Anyone who will be testifying to the board today needs to be sworn in. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the information or testimony you are about to give is truthful? Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. All right, so we're back to that demolition at 1401 Paso Girl Way.
Could you pull the PowerPoint back up, please? This is a demolition request, case number 26054 for 1401 Pastor Girl Way, applicant owner of Robert and Laura Stark. They are present on the Zoom call. They are requesting a certificate of appropriateness for demolition of the single-family two-story structure. It is considered a contributing structure in the Pastor Girl Historic District. The applicant is seeking to demolish a framed two-story single-family residence. The property is heavily vegetated in the front, but appears to retain its asbestos shingles, chimney, and louvered vents in the front-facing gable beneath the ridges. The Florida Master Site file also lists shingle siding and original casement windows with roof knee braces as standout features. I will point out this is one of the few unaltered homes that I am aware of in Pastor Grill. It is a very much an original structure, which is interesting to see, especially given its age. The city did estimate the residents to have sustained 100% damage from the 2024 storms. We do have some photos that did indicate a total loss. The building official was out a few weeks ago and had actually posted the structure as an unsafe structure, and we have issued a demolition, or rather we've approved a demolition permit given the numerous continuations that needed to occur for this case. The applicant stated that the rear of the residence is collapsing, which we did confirm through photos, and we did find this to be beyond the reasonable limit for restoration of a contributing residence. You can see the property here. The existing survey showing the residence. This is a historic photo. It's undated, but it is from the 1938 property card. We believe it was probably taken in the late 30s, early 40s. Here's some current staff photos. You can see notably on the right side the collapse of the rear of the structure. We do have criteria for review of demolition permits. Of course, one of the criteria we look at is whether it's reasonable to restore the residence. We did find in this case it is not reasonable to restore the residence. We do recommend approval without stay. The residence clearly sustained severe damage. It's unreasonable to require that the applicant remediate that damage. It's currently the subject of a substantial damage amnesty period. As I mentioned, we have issued, or approved at least, the permit for the demolition. Delaying removal would be inconsistent with the intent of that amnesty. I did also want to point out, as a single-family home, based on the survey that we have on file, we don't see any significant challenges with redevelopment on this property. The applicant would be subject to the zoning code, but there are no rights that they need to retain in the redevelopment that would be applicable to a multifamily structure or another structure that was built much closer to the property line. So we don't see any significant challenges other than the typical zoning and building requirements that would come along with redevelopment. So based on that, we do ask for a motion to approve this case for demolition without a stay on demolition. And as I mentioned, we do have the owners present on the Zoom call for questions.
Hello there, Bob and Laura. Do you have any comments or anything you'd like to tell us at this stage?
Now, obviously, if it was a structure, technically would have. This is our fourth property that we have owned in a historic area. We appreciate the character of the historic area, so if we could have saved any of it, we would have, but it's a total loss.
Okay. All right. I will make a motion to grant the certificate of appropriateness for case number 26054 for the residents of 1401 Pastor Girl Way, and along with that, I would ask there be no stay on demolition.
I'll second that.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Member Hurley?
Yes.
Member Zaleski?
Yes.
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Chair Lowry?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Good luck, y'all. We'll see you again. All right. Bye-bye. Thank you for showing up. Okay, so now we move on to 4F, which is certificate for appropriateness for demolition, case number 26073 for the home at 104 18th Avenue.
Yes, we have the agent, Waterstone City Homes Incorporated, for Phillips Michael Vito Living Trust. The address is 104 18th Avenue. The applicant is requesting a certificate of appropriateness for demolition of the two-family residence. There is also a detached garage on the property. They are both considered contributing structures to the Pastor Grill Historic District. The applicant is seeking to demolish a wood frame residence and detached garage that were constructed in 1926, according to the property's Florida master site file. The front structure, the residence, is a two-family residence. There is a front unit as well as a back unit looking at the structure from the street. It has been modestly altered with an enclosed screen porch that is very common in Paso Grill and asbestos shingle siding. The structure was re-roofed with asphalt shingles subsequent to the last survey in 2015. There were also minor soffit repairs that had been completed. It is an example of the Craftsman architectural style. It contains barge board under the eaves, front-facing gables, and louvered vents, those are features that are typical of the style, especially in Paso Grill. The maintenance of Tuscan-style columns and the now enclosed porch is rare. I actually am not aware of another property that has such a feature. Columns are common under the Craftsman style, but Tuscan style is a little uncommon, at least in Paso Grill.
Okay, I want to see an example of that. I don't know exactly what that is.
I'll show you in just a moment here.
Okay.
This home did have a property card photo that was available from 1936. You can see that on the right. You can see here just in very very light Tuscan detailing on those columns at the front when I get to them. I'll see if I have
those blue columns we're looking at.
That's the side. I don't know if I have a zoomed in photo of the front. I'll see if I have one. But the bottom right photo is looking toward the garage at the back of the property. The front structure is over a crawl space. And here's some applicant photos of the interior of the residence. Fortunately, I don't think I have any zoomed in photos. This is subject to the typical contributing structure requirements for demolition. It would be limited to a stay of 30 days. It could not be denied as a contributing structure. And we do go through the criteria for demolition permits. With respect to the demolition, there cannot be a stay of longer than 30 days imposed on this request. We did ask for, as we ask for all of these redevelopments on standard platted lots, that the applicant testify that they understand any future development that provides for more than one dwelling unit will require the living square footage of the residence to be limited to the existing living square footage, which is just over 1,200 square feet per records, with modern interior requirements like mechanical closets and interior circulation for dwelling units above the ground floor if they're not providing access from the exterior over a half level. This may represent a significant limitation on redevelopment if they are seeking to retain the two dwelling units that are licensed to the property. In reviewing the photos, we did also not receive significant evidence that the home is in need of demolition and incapable of restoration. It was indicated in the application, but the agent or the owners, if they are present, may want to speak to that briefly, just in terms of the possible stay that could be imposed by the board.
Okay.
So following testimony, we do ask for a motion to approve this case, either with or without a stay on demolition.
All right, does the applicant want to come forward, please? Please just state your name for the record.
And whether you were sworn?
Yeah.
Pardon me? I was sworn in. Dennis Johnson, 4021 West Barcelona Street, Tampa, Florida.
Michael Carrier, 4216 Fairway Run, Tampa, Florida. I'm with Waterstone.
Okay.
I actually own the property immediately adjacent to the west, which was, we came through y'all several years ago.
I recall that.
And we designed a new house, which we actually have just started construction. This house, the original owners had, there was substantial damage to the detached structure in the rear. It had about 20 inches of water. It's been totally destroyed. It's uninhabitable. There's been nobody in there since the hurricanes. It'll have to be demolished. The existing structure, although water did go underneath the structure and it did some pier damage and some damage to the wood floor trusses underneath the home. I believe they did, the thing on the side is you can see that's an alteration to the original house because they turned it into a duplex. So we are not requesting to keep the duplex zoning. We are in the process of a design that's very similar site plan to next door. It's not a large home. We're designing about a 3,000 square foot home, 2-story only. We're lucky here because our elevation is a little bit higher. We're about 5 feet above sea level here, so we only have to go up 5 to 6 feet. So we're going to do the standard 2-story, and we'll have a pool on the side. And we haven't quite finished the elevation. We have, I don't know, can you show those things we emailed you, Brandon, or not?
I was looking for that, but you don't own this property right now, do
We
you?
have it under contract.
Okay.
Yeah. The owners attempted to, they went through the process of seeing how much it was to fix it up, and they went through the economic, and it became unfeasible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with the home,
Yeah.
and I know
So-
it was for sale
So
for
they
a couple
just, they,
months.
so they decided to sell it, and then it made sense for us to do it since we're doing next door. We wanted to control the look of the street and control, sight lines and views and sun. So we can kind of control that with the pools. Everybody gets sun in their pool instead of, shadowing everything. So that gives us a lot of flexibility. We're going to keep a narrow site plan. You don't have, can you
Let's
pull?
see if I can get them pulled up here.
We emailed you, but you could pull.
You did.
Yeah, if you want to pull up 106 18th.
Well, while he's looking for that, let me just ask a couple of questions. So,
Sure.
I mean, you've answered the question about not wanting to retain it as a duplex, so that's not an issue anymore, obviously, right?
Correct.
Because you're talking about doing a single-family residence,
Yeah.
which is fine, and you know that's, I mean, you could rebuild a duplex, but you'd be very limited, right? Okay.
No, we have a client that's interested, so
Okay, and then also the garage, I'm just gonna say some things you probably know, but just make sure they're clear.
Okay.
So, the garage could be rebuilt because it's non-habitable anyway, so, I mean, I've been on the property, I know how
Right.
messed up that thing is. And that the garage is, has to go. The house itself, I don't believe did get flooded.
it just touched underneath,
think
right?
It's one of those houses built in the 20s where they actually built them high enough, because if you look on Paso Royal, at about 3.5 feet, they didn't get the hurricane flood, and that's
It's about 31, 32 inches up, and we had
Yes,
about
even
20.
down, even south of 8th, where there's a lot of old houses. Some of those, the 100-year-old ones didn't flood, most of them.
Now, it was close to floating away, though.
Right.
Picking it up off, because, back then, you just have piers.
Yeah,
no
but
foundation.
they seemed to know something back then, I guess, that we forgot about. So the owner, I know it could be rebuilt, it could be things like that, but you don't find that's something you want to do, which is.
Well, you're in that middle ground. Even if you renovated that, the flood insurance, we couldn't afford it. It would be $25,000 to $30,000 a year for flood insurance for a 1,200 square foot house. I mean, that's just
Right.
That's economically unfeasible. And when you build a new house, we just got our flood quote on the house next door for full replacement value. Next door was $1,012 a year for flood insurance, because we're building it, 11.6.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just, that's the problem. We're not building massive houses, though, which is, we're trying to keep them in the scale in the neighborhood.
Well, and so, even though this isn't necessarily relevant to this demolition approval or not, but what you've talked about in the house that you're talking about building, it wouldn't have your standard, or not standard, but typical 9-foot or 10-foot first floor.
Well, it's there. You'll see it. It does.
Oh, I haven't seen it. That's what we're saying. We haven't.
It should be on the screen if you can.
Okay.
It does have do you have that rendering? Can you pull that the colored rendering? It kind of.
This is actually not the actual.
That's actually the site plan. We've changed but the alleyway that is the bottom, it would be the alleyway entrance. So there's a 2-car and then a kind of an offset garage.
Yeah.
Like a golf cart. But the front elevation is the finished floor on the porch is about 5 to 5.5
What?
up.
Right, I'm saying you went up the minimum, but you're in good shape because the grade's higher. So you don't.
lucky.
So I'm saying you don't have to have a 9 or 10-foot empty space.
Correct. Right. Yeah. Right. But
This is like my house. I mean, I've done the same thing. I
when
went
you
up.
said first floor, I was thinking of our first floor as the
Yes,
living
yes,
area.
ground floor maybe. I
And we
should
do
say.
have 10-foot
Right.
ceilings in the ground floor.
Okay, yeah, that's beautiful.
You're right.
Fine.
It will not be sitting up real high in the air.
And you plan to put the garage in the back off the alley.
Yeah, and it's a nice alley. We're going to rebuild the alley. We're going to strip it, shell it. Since now we have 2 in a row. And
Well, just so you know, we're working with the city here on some of this stuff, but one of the proposals that's coming up is to try to require people, if you're on an alley, to use the alley.
Yeah.
Okay, which would hopefully, that will happen. I mean, you always get variances under the circumstances, but that would also.
We'd like to improve it. What are the
That
improvements?
would have the city improve some of these alleys.
Yeah, we would work with you on those too, because the
I'd love to hear it.
gentleman in the corner, we've got 3 in a row that are, and then the guy behind us, we talked to him. So we've basically got, all 4 or 5 people from the corner alley that are.
When you say I know the empty lot that you're getting ready to build
And
on.
then there's the one that the one that, it's kind of a 2-story bungalow. It has a back, it's kind of aqua color. It's on the
Is that
side alley.
Stephen Smith's?
It would be, let's see, where.
Is it across the alley you're saying, or along?
No, right side. It'd just be west of the one that we're getting ready to start.
Oh, the Airbnb one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So it could be a good alley. We don't really have many trees issues, and it's definitely could be improved, and we're willing to work with the city on improving that.
And that big banyan is going to go, I assume, in the back?
Yes.
Hate to see that. In bad
Yes,
shape, I
it has to
suppose.
go,
All right.
yes, it has.
Okay.
We didn't quite get enough to bring in all of our, on the first, we brought the whole elevations and everything. We got approval all the way through but we aren't quite there on this one yet. We're trying to change some architectural features on the outside and doing a little more California coastal. We're not going to do Hardy on the second house. We don't want them to look completely different, change the roofs up a little bit. The site plan is going to be similar, pretty much, with a pool on the side, a narrow house, the garage is on the alley. But the extra architecture features we're going to change up. That's why we didn't want to come through the whole review process yet. We're not quite there yet.
No, I understand that, and this is just, for
I
information.
don't want to spend any more money if...
No, I get it. All right. Okay. Anything else on the demolition aspect of it? If there's any questions you needed answered, Brandon?
No, I think
so.
that covers it. So,
Well, all right. I hate to see it go. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite houses down there, but I
We'd be
understand.
glad to give it to you if you like it.
We talked about moving houses
Anybody
before,
wants
and the
to do it?
city's not too keen
I've
on
moved
that,
a
I
couple
guess.
houses, and
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
chore.
But, okay. I'll make a motion then that we grant certificate of appropriateness for demolition case number 26073 for the residents at 104 18th Avenue.
I'll second that motion.
And I guess I should talk about whether we want to do a stay.
Oh, stay.
Pardon me? Yeah, so I guess for my motion, we never give you guys a 30-day, we never enforce that typically because normally everyone's already made up their mind. And
Can I add one comment that may add?
Absolutely, please.
I was 6 years a commissioner on the Hillsborough County Historic Board, so I don't think there's anything you can tell me. We wrote all the code for the Architectural Review Commission. I know all yeah, I don't think 30 days is going to change my knowledge on this.
Well, exactly. So it's kind of like, it doesn't really mean anything. So on my motion, I'll make that without a stay.
I'll second that motion.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Member Hurley?
Yes.
Member Zaleski?
Yes.
Chair Lowry?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess we go back now to, are we on 4C?
we have one more certificate of appropriateness for the Warren Webster building. If I could
Oh, that's G.
move on to that.
Oh, I don't have G. Is there G?
Not on your print. The one that was posted online, I have G because I'm accessing that one. I don't know if maybe your printed agenda.
It might be. I did add it over the weekend, so it might not be on your packet, but I do have a presentation for it.
Okay.
Get this pulled up.
Oh, is this on Warren Webster?
Yes.
Yeah.
this is
I did read that one, okay.
Okay,
But
good.
it's just not on our laptops here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's go ahead, Brandon, we'll go with that one.
So this is, of course, for Warren Webster. We are seeking to replace an existing entry door at the eastern frontage as well as on the side, and the two French doors at the back of the building, which, of course, is a locally designated historic resource and contributing structure to the Paso Grill Historic District. This is case number 26109. So it's on the Hurley Park property in the southeast corner, abutting Paso Grill Way and 15th Avenue. Doors proposed for replacement are found in the building. It most recently underwent significant renovation in the mid-2010s when the city designated it as a local historic resource. At the time, we also obtained a substantial improvement variance for the building. We're seeking to replace the existing front door with a horizontally separated half-light over solid panel door and the rear French door with simulated mutton pattern French doors. They will both be impact rating, which is the main reason for this undertaking. The front door exists, it's presently boarded up, the rear French doors remain in place, and the northern door is also present. So you can see the front door viewed from Paso Grill Way on the left side, and then the side entry door facing toward the north on the right side of the screen. The door is going to be very similar in style. It's going to be a relatively simple metal frame door with a solid ground panel, or solid lower panel rather, and a upper window panel. It will have a thin style and upper rail like the current door. You can see here the rear French doors. I believe the photo's a little bit warped. They look a little bit taller and stouter than they are. You can see the doors that they're being replaced with on the right. These are a slightly different design change. Both the style and the rails are going to be a little bit narrower than what we currently have on the property. With commercial buildings and community buildings, there is more of an emphasis put on doors and windows that are visible from the back of the structure. Certainly for this, as it is a community resource, we typically don't put much emphasis on rear changes on residential buildings that are not visible from the street. But in this case, we do want the doors to retain, of course, be impact rated, but also retain some of their historic integrity. We did speak with the contractor. They are able to replicate the 1-inch mutton pattern. Of course, they will not be mullions. They won't be separated window panels because this will be an impact rated window on the door. But they are able to replicate the approximately 1-inch wide mutton pattern on the window. We have a preference for the center, the beveled panel. The one on the right we feel is a little bit too ornate. The one on the left we feel is a little bit too standard for this type of design in this era of French door. So we do recommend approval of the front and side replacement doors as submitted. The contractor has confirmed earlier today that the 3x5 pattern on the rear French doors can be replaced and maintained at a similar width. We prefer the centered beveled mutton to replace the existing mullion pattern, which obviously cannot be easily replicated in an impact rated door. And I'll just show the photo one more time. We prefer the center option. So we ask for a motion to approve this case for the front and side entry door replacements as submitted, and approval of the French door replacement with 3x5 pattern and 1-inch beveled mutton. Happy to take any questions.
Anybody have any questions?
I do not.
What's the timeline for getting these installed if this is approved?
Oh, in the next week or two, we're looking to move. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Wow, a week. That's okay, it's moving along.
I believe they're looking to take immediate entry.
This is one of those, we need to ask for this. Right. Okay, all right. Anybody else have any questions?
No, I'd make a motion to approve case number 26109 for the front and side entry door replacements as submitted, and request modification of the rear French doors to provide a 5x3 light pattern with an exterior applied mutton of similar width as existing doors.
I'll second that motion, Madam Clerk.
Member Hurley?
Yes.
Member Zaleski?
Yes.
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Chair Lowry?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was G. So now we're going to C. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, which is a certificate of appropriateness, case number 26055. The structure at 1706 Pastor Girl Way.
So the owner had been on the call, and I don't believe they joined back in, but we can go through the presentation. I did send them a copy of the staff report, so they should be aware of this information. This is a certificate of appropriateness 26055 for 1706 Pastor Girl Way. Paulette Bosella is both the applicant and the owner. They're requesting a certificate of appropriateness to install mini split condensers, which I will point out have already been installed, to replace in-window units along the northern frontage of the apartment building, and replace 2/2 light windows with 2 light single-hung windows. Those will be on the front of the structure facing Pastor Girl Way, as well as in the interior of the courtyard, as you can see in the top right of the photo. This is a locally designated historic structure. It was designated back in 2019, designation number 62. So here's the property. It is currently in use as an apartment house property, single-family courtyard apartment. I've already covered the changes. They are looking to replace 2/2 wood sash windows in the front of the structure, interior to the courtyard with 2 light single-hung windows. They are proposing vinyl. They are requesting post-installation permission to maintain mini split condensing units. Those are located on the north side as well as the courtyard interior. You can see one in this photo. I have photos of the outside of the structure in just a moment.
So, I'm sorry to interrupt, just so we don't do this. So that picture there, that is the mini split that's already been installed that they're asking for post-installation.
And there are some that have been installed on the north side of the structure. as
Okay, I
well.
just want to make
So
sure
those
that's the new one right there. Okay,
Right,
go ahead.
That is what is proposed. That was authorized through issued building permits over the preceding months for interior work. However, building permits have not been issued for the mini splits or the window replacement. We have allowed the applicant to move forward with interior renovation, which is non-substantial, and they are seeking to install the windows, which has not been done, and then receive permission to maintain the mini splits that have been installed. So you can see this is viewing from 18th to the north. You can see the mini split units that have already been installed on the side of the building, and then you can see photos of the windows that are proposed to be replaced. Those are the wood sash windows, showing the replacement window location, and then along the 18th Avenue frontage, the mini splits. So staff does not have any concern with the mini split condensers in the proposed location. We do ask that there be 2 conditions of approval and ask that the applicant to comment, and unfortunately they are not present on the potential for a 3rd condition. We do ask the lines be set in a cover that is painted the same color as a dwelling, and the disconnect shall also be painted to match the building. If doing so would meet all safety code and manufacturer requirements. I'll go back to the photo. You can see that they're not the color of the building. We would like them to be painted white or put in a run that would be matching the color of the building, just to provide some screening. They have agreed to install landscaping adjacent to the mini split units along that side of the structure. We want to make sure that that will provide proper airflow for the units. We don't want them to install landscaping that could cause any issue in terms of airflow. But if they can meet that, and if they can put up a hedge or shrubs, that would help to screen those units. I believe they have been elevated to 4 feet. And again, they're replacement of in-window units, which the general guidance I've received on in-window units is that it's generally appropriate to allow those to be replaced with mini splits as long as they're properly obscured. We also ask that the lines be set to run vertically from the equipment without the 90-degree jog that currently exists. Without the applicant present, if the board is willing to take action, I would recommend that that condition be left off, because that would require that potentially significant interior changes that I'm not aware if those can be made based on the existing layout of service within the building. We're also asking that the applicant place false muntin horizontal with a window to mirror the existing design, so the simulated horizontal light design of the structure that would be placed on the exterior of the window to match the existing pattern. We were going to ask that they seek wood sash windows if viable. With this being a development from the early 20th century, it's usually appropriate for them to remain wood sash instead of going to vinyl, which is what's being proposed, or even aluminum, which would be another option that's more easily obtained. But without the applicant present, I would like them to be able to comment on that. So I would ask that the board continue this case. If you find that requiring a wood sash be a requirement, because I would like the owner to be able to comment on the ability to obtain wood sash windows. There might be a limitation that I'm not aware of, being the basis for why they proposed vinyl.
Right.
So with that, we ask for a motion to approve this case, and if you were to approve the case without the applicant present, that would be condition 1 and 2 for the mini split installation, and the simulated light condition for the windows, but not the vinyl to wood sash window requirement, or the change in the lines to be run vertically for the mini split. So those 2 would be left out.
Right.
And
Okay.
I'm sorry, Brandon, I know you already said this, but can we just confirm for the record again that the applicant received notice of this hearing and that they were present and are not present at this time?
Correct. They had been on the call earlier, but they are not currently present.
Thank you.
And you said that we could request a continuance of this and let all these things be addressed at one time versus doing it twice?
You can. I have spoken to the applicant about the conditions that I would be comfortable with the board moving forward. If you were to require wood sash windows or a vertical run for the line, I would ask that they be present to comment on that.
Okay. Well, everyone can speak, the way I look at this, your first two conditions that are would be part of the motion if we did not continue it. Totally agree with that, and if that was it, I would suggest we just go ahead and make a motion, or I would make a motion to approve. But I think that the wood sash is an important thing, but I also think the 90-degree jog is even more important. Considering it's already been installed, there's no hardship in continuing this to find out their actual answers for it. And I guess we can't do this piecemeal and grant it for one and two, and then have them come back on the other part. I just think visually to look at it, and I think I know what you're saying, that you would suggest that the line would basically go straight down as opposed to have a 90-degree turn, right?
Correct.
But we don't know what's on the other side of that wall, so we don't know if that's something they can do or not.
Correct.
Right. So it could be they can't do anything, and therefore no harm, no foul. I think it would look a lot better if they didn't have the 90-degree turn, if that's viable. And I really think the wood sash, if it's something it can be done, why not do it? It's a historic structure. It's been historically designated. I think that they should, be required to do that. That's my opinion. I don't know how you all feel about it. And I'm sorry that Ms. Bosell isn't here, because she could probably answer those things right now. Now, is this a situation, though, where we can, sometimes we grant things with the idea that staff is going to confirm they followed up on something and not have to come back and bring the applicant back, and the staff can just tell us they did it or they didn't do that or whatever? Is that a situation we can do here, you think?
I think so. I think especially for the 90-degree turn in the line, we would want some kind of idea of how far we should. The wood sash windows, she can probably pretty easily justify if she cannot install them. If it's just a difficulty in finding the products, but it's available, we can require that. But for the line, what degree of alteration would the board feel is appropriate to be able to have that work? Because I will point out that they will need to set it and paint it, and we will also have landscaping, so you will be able to see the top of the units, but you will not likely be able to see the lines. We would still like them to run.
Well, and they could actually say that on the other side of the wall they can't bring it into the house at that point, that they have to do the 90 degrees, right?
Correct. And would you accept a statement from the contractor to that?
Well, I think I would. I mean, I don't like the look of the 90 degree. I know it's going to be obscured ultimately, and it could be that there's no other way they can do it, and so why are we delaying it for that? So, I would think it would make sense if we can put it to motion, but if I was to propose a motion to grant this with the condition that those recommendations be followed up with staff, and that we would rely on staff's determination. Okay, so.
I have no illegal issues.
Do we want to discuss that at all? Anybody on the board have a feeling about how you might do that? Or would you rather just have them all come back and do it all over again? Not all over, but
Offhand, the windows may be a challenge, just because getting wood windows is an uphill battle in the world of windows. As far as the conduits and how that the lines are altered from the mini splits, if they have a white or a building colored coving over them, you're not really going to notice them.
Right. All right. Well, I will make a motion that we grant a certificate of appropriateness, case number 26055 for 1706 Paschal Way, with the two conditions as outlined by staff, with the recommendations to be followed up by staff and we would accept their determination on that. Does that make sense, the way I said that? Because I guess I'm wondering what happens if you say they can move the 90-degree line, but they don't want to. Then if we already granted them because we've granted the certificate of appropriateness, I mean, you know what I mean?
I would think in that case, depending on what happens with the windows, we could potentially allow the window work to proceed. They will have a separate permit for the windows, separate from the mini splits. The mini splits are because they were installed without a permit. That is a pending code case. So
Okay, so we have options to control it, is what I'm saying.
correct. But if they were to just say they don't want to do it, we would bring them back.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so Madam Clerk, is that motion clear enough?
Staff would bring it back if, what?
If
If the recommendations did not satisfy
Okay.
their approval.
yes.
Okay.
Okay? Can I get a second from anyone?
I'll second it.
Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Member Zaleski?
Yes.
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Member Hurley?
Yes.
Chair Lowry?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so now we're at action item 4D, Certificate of Appropriateness for Demolition, case number 26051 for the residents at 106 3rd Avenue.
This is applicant owner Irene Lipinski, 106 3rd Avenue. This is a three-family, residence that is considered a contributing structure to the Paso Grill Historic District. They're seeking to demolish a masonry single-story residence containing 3 dwelling units according to the property appraiser and city licensing records. The residence is a relatively unadorned masonry residence that staff finds to be primarily contributing on its basis of its scale, compatibility with other structures built during the construction time frame, and limited frontage improvements since initial construction, which appear to have only involved an enclosure of the porch. As I mentioned in a previous case, it's very common in Paso Grill. The residence is designed to appear as a single-family dwelling from the front and contains side entrances reached by walkways set tight to the building. You can see some photographs of the site here. Here's some photos of the interior of the structure from the applicant, as well as some staff photos. This is a contributing structure. It would be limited to a stay of up to 30 days. And the typical criteria are on the screen for demolition permits. With this one, the stay could not be longer than 30 days. I did speak to the owner just shortly before the meeting. She is present, just to understand that any future development on this property that seeks more than 1 dwelling unit would be limited to the existing living square footage of the residence, which is just under 2,000 square feet. There are interior requirements that, of course, were not required at the time that the home was built. So we want to make sure that they understand that there would be a limitation for a 2 or 3 family home to be reconstructed on the property. Once they acknowledge that, we do ask that this case be approved without a stay on demolition, and the owner is present.
Ms. Lipinski, you want to come forward, please?
And Madam Clerk, I do believe she needs to be
Yes, I
sworn.
was going to say, she could come on to the microphone, but Madam Clerk needs to swear you in, which is standard procedure. You were just not here when she did that.
Hi, thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the information or testimony you are about to give is truthful? Sure. Thank you.
Okay, please state your name for the record.
Irene Elizabeth Lipinski.
Okay. So did you understand what Mr. Berry was talking about?
I didn't understand what all the 30-day stuff.
No, okay, I'll explain that. Because your house is contributing, an old house, if we wanted to, we can't deny you a demolition, okay? But we can make you wait 30 days to do that because it's a contributing structure. We really never do that, but it's just something we can do. The idea would be we could then work on you for 30 days to say, please don't demolish it. It's a historic structure, okay? But yes, we've seen the photographs. So,
End of life.
yes. So the bigger issue that we need to hear from you about is what Mr. Berry said was, you know, it's as it is, it's a 3-unit building, right? Once you demolish it, if you want to make it a 3-unit building, you can't increase the square footage that already exists. All right? Now, if you just want to demolish it and build a single-family residence there, you're not controlled by anything. Do you understand that, or do you want more clarification about that, or have you talked about that already?
No, well, I was just trying to get to the demolition. I didn't realize that there were contingencies. If I wanted to, let's say not build a 3, but I wanted to build a 2, I mean, I'm aging, I don't have family. I even thought I could downsize and build a home there for myself, maybe with a second unit for a caretaker.
Right.
So what happens if you go to a 2? Am I still limited to the square footage and I can't go up?
You can definitely build up, and we are only looking at the living square footage. So if you were to have a garage at the ground level, the stair access to the upper stories, none of that counts toward that limitation. But your existing living square footage, if you want more than 1 unit, so if you wanted a separate detached unit or attached duplex, you would be limited to what we estimate to be just under 2,000 square feet.
So my house and that unit would have to all be under 2,000.
Correct.
That's a bummer. Okay.
Well, the idea is, the way it is set up now is, I think when this ordinance was enacted, that they were concerned that these multifamily small units that were fairly typical on Paso Grill, that people would knock them down and then build a multifamily unit that was much bigger than it was originally, therefore increasing the size and scale of everything down there on Paso Grill. So they're trying to keep it a little bit maintained. Pardon me. And that's what the rules are now. And so, like, for example, to answer your question to some degree, if you, let's say it's 2,000 square feet of living square footage, okay? If you wanted to go to a single family, it wouldn't be limited at all, other than whatever the limitations are of building a house, all right?
I got 2 McMansions on either side.
Exactly. Okay, so you know how big they can be built, right? Now, if you wanted to make it 2 units, you'd still be limited to the 2,000 square feet, but you could divide that up in some fashion, all right? And of course, if you wanted to, if you're talking about having a caretaker or somebody maybe in the future, you could also build a single-family residence and just have an area that's defined for somebody to live in. You know what I mean? It wouldn't. I'm just saying those are all things you could do however you want to do it. But we just want to make sure that you know that when you demolish it, okay, as it is, if you want to make it more than 1 unit, you're limited in the rebuild to that square footage.
Okay, thank you.
And if you're okay with that, that's fine.
I have to be.
Well, we have to make sure that you know that that's what the rules are.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so this is just to make you understand that you're agreeing that you understand that's what the rules are.
Yes,
right? Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add about the demolition or anything that you think we need to know? Okay, I assume you would request not to have a 30-day stay because you'd like to.
Yeah, AAA Demolition has been waiting for 6
Well, I noticed there's a sign already out front, so.
Oh, is there?
From the picture, there's a sign.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
the girls have been calling me and calling me.
Well, they always want to advertise, so that's okay.
Actually, the scam calls, the scammed emails. I got another one again.
Yes, we are starting to be aware that some of that stuff is going on. Once things get on the public record, some of the bad actors get involved sometime, right? So, okay. With that, just to move things along, I will make a motion. Mr. Barry, you think we've satisfied the requirement for that? Okay.
Yes.
I make a motion that we grant the certificate of appropriateness for demolition, case number 26051 for the residence at 106 3rd Avenue without a 30-day stay.
And I'll second that motion.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Member Hurley?
Yes.
Member Zaleski?
Yes.
Chair Lowry?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, I did want to mention that the owner of the prior case is now present.
Yes.
I spoke with the city attorney, and we can ask whether she is comfortable with us reopening to discuss those two details if the board is amenable to that.
Sure.
Should they take action before we ask her? Or?
No, if we can, has she been
Want
sworn?
me to make a motion to reopen it?
No, so right now I just want her to consent on the record to have that reconsidered. If she can be sworn first, I don't know that she's been sworn yet. And then after that, a motion to reopen would be appropriate.
Paulette, can you hear us?
I can.
We're going to swear you in for your case. Can you raise your right hand?
Do you swear or affirm that the information or factual representation you are about to give to the board is truthful?
I do.
Thank you.
So, right before you joined the call, we had reviewed your case. The board took action. They had conditionally approved it based on a few items. Action has already been taken, so we will need to reopen the case. Do we have your consent to reopen the case?
I guess so. I didn't realize it had been closed, but yes, you do.
But we just had already voted on it, so that's just a procedural thing. Since we're going to talk about it again, we need to reopen it. So you've allowed
okay.
to let us do that.
You have my permission, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So with the case, the board had recommended approval with 3 conditions and then asked us to engage you to get more information on the remaining 2. So for the mini split units, they had asked that there be some kind of a chase or other obstruction for the wires that run from the unit into the wall. It's currently black. We would like that to either be painted or set within something that matches the color of the building. Do you have any concern with that? Is that something you believe you could achieve?
Your wish is my command on that one.
We had also, you and I had spoken about putting some kind of a hedge or other type of shrub in front of the units. You are still willing to do that, is that correct?
Absolutely.
Thank you. The third item that they had asked to engage you on had been the wires itself as they run into the building. They currently jog at a 90-degree angle to be located just under the window. Do you happen to know why that was done? Is it possible to scale back the exterior wiring so that it can run directly down from the units and then go into the wall? Or is there some kind of a obstruction that requires it to jog at that 90-degree angle?
You know, I can't believe that somebody wouldn't have drawn a straight line if it were practically applicable. So I would have to check into that one. There
Okay.
may very well be a 90-degree angle reasoning, but I have no knowledge right now as to why that would be.
Okay. For the windows, we had asked that horizontal muntin be applied on the to match the current look of the windows. That's usually something that your contractor would engage with the business they purchased the window from. So they would just maintain on the outside a thin horizontal strip to match the current 4-light pattern. Do you have any issue with that as a requirement?
I'm not really sure. When you're talking about the one strip, and I'd have to review. I know Brandon knows that I had sent him different pictures that the exact replica of those windows is no longer available. And so it would be as close as it could be to like in kind. And the only thing I would say is if you needed one strip, maybe it could be painted on, or it could be an extra strip of wood that goes on the window to mock that appearance.
That would typically
Certainly, we will get it as close as possible.
Thank you. It would typically be a wood strip that's often applied at the factory. Your contractor would just request that when they're purchasing the windows. I believe you said you're purchasing the windows from a super center, correct? You have a store that you picked them out from?
That was the original plan.
Okay. The other question we had, and I know you've been engaged on the windows that you had proposed are vinyl. The windows currently are wood sash, and wood sash is usually more appropriate for historic structures. Have you looked into any kind of a wood sash window? Did you face any kind of challenge acquiring those?
Yes, I would have to dig into the city's pockets for it because wood windows are prohibitively expensive. They all have to be custom made at that point.
Understood.
Okay. Does anybody with, thank you, ma'am. Does anybody?
You're welcome. And if you're finished with me, before you finish with me, go ahead. But I just had one more comment to make at some point.
Go ahead.
Oh, I think I caught the tail end of somebody else's conversation, and I mentioned it briefly to Brandon in an email, but I didn't elaborate on it. I got a very extensive phishing scam prior to this meeting that was requesting $5,200 be given to them before the meeting took place today, and it had every one of your names on it.
Yes, I'm not, thank you for telling us about that. We are aware. I was contacted
Unbelievable.
the other day on a demolition permit about, on the historic designation of the wharf, that they got fished, that there was all this money that was still owed the city before we could have the hearing. So.
Oh, you should have heard me here. I can't believe it. I have to send $5,200 before they'll proceed, and they used, it's probably somebody in Africa that got trained in English. They used all these Esquires and please if you kind, and thank you so much for your consideration, but with all your names, the city logo and everything.
Yep, no, the one that I've seen, the one I talked about had staff member names on it, not our name. So
oh, it did.
I'm sad to hear they've included our names now, but there's some bad actors out there for sure. I'm glad you didn't fall for it.
No, I am too. What clued me in was they wanted the money wired within 12 hours to a bank account in Minnesota, and I really don't think you people bank in Minnesota.
Only take wire transfers, it's probably a scam, right? So, so you gave us some information.
Just wanted to let you know.
Thank you. You gave us some information that we hadn't heard, before. So let us just discuss it for a moment. And I don't think we have any more questions for you. But
okay, and I will send Brandon the screenshots of their actual. I didn't want to forward the email because I don't like to open them up because that spreads it. But I'll send him screenshots of what I got. How's that?
I'm sure he'd love to get it.
Thank you.
He can have a good Friday left. TGIF, everybody.
Okay, well, hold on a second. We're gonna have to make
okay.
Some discussion. You might want to say something else. So, based upon.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, based on what she stated, how do you all feel about those conditions that we were kind of waiting to hear about? Anybody have any comments on those? I think we're just really talking about. She's agreed to do the painting and the landscaping coverage. So now we're just talking about getting more information or just being okay with the 90-degree jog and whether she can use vinyl instead of wood on the window.
I will make a comment only in that, I think we have to be very sensitive to pricing that our community is really facing right now. And as much as we don't want vinyl windows to be replaced there, if we can make them look as historically accurate as possible, I think we have to be mindful to people.
Well, I would agree. I think that's a reasonable way to look at it. Anybody else any feelings on that particular item?
I would agree with that as well.
And then about the 90-degree jog, do you want to get more information about that? I think what she said was obviously a pretty obvious comment that she would hope to think that if they could have done it without the 90-degree turn, they would have, which of course I think we all thought that when we first looked at it. I would say with the agreement to have it painted and with landscaping put in front of it, that really pretty much solves that problem. So
I would add also just tighten them up because there's a lot of extra there, and if you can do it real tight, when you look at the photo, they can go right tight underneath that window. With the trim, with the coverage, where it's all kind of snaked. It's not a real tight 90-degree on the photo that we have, and that's what actually to me makes it look messy. So if it can be tighter, and like if they can come along the trim of the window underneath, you know, if they can't go straight.
Maybe hide it in some way.
Right.
Did you understand that comment, Ms. Bosella? Do you have any comment on that?
I'm going to have a contractor take a look at it.
Okay.
And there will be a written copy of these notes for me to review, correct, so I can explain it to them?
I will follow up with you after the meeting with all the
Okay.
details.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, with that, anybody have a motion?
I would first move to reconsider. So that would be the preliminary motion, and
Okay,
then if
thank
that
you.
passes.
Okay, first of then, let's do a motion to reconsider the previous vote we had for the certificate of appropriateness of case number 26055 for 1706 Paso Girl Way.
I'll second that motion.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Member Hurley?
Yes.
Member Zaleski?
Yes.
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Chair Lowry?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, so now I would like to make a motion to grant the certificate of appropriateness on case number 26055 for the home at 1706 Paso Girl Way, with the two conditions that staff recommended, and with the assurances that Ms. Bosella said she would follow up on. We will not require wooden sash, and she's going to have her contractor look at the 90-degree angle on the conduit. Does that make sense, or is that too involved? Okay.
If we're ready, I'll second it.
All right. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Yes.
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Member Hurley?
Yes.
Chair Lowry?
Yes.
Motion carries.
What's iPhone? Yeah, you got it? You okay? Brandon's going to follow up with. Okay? What's your dog's name?
This is Baby, and Baby is really vocalizing for you today.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a nice afternoon.
Oh, tell all my friends in the city at the desk and all that Baby is still very much alive, but she had to go in the car too much today, and she's not happy about that.
She looks like she's hungry.
I think she's sending you kisses.
All right, thank you for the kisses, baby.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, so.
Thanks, everyone. Done with me?
Yes, thank you.
Have a great weekend, TGIF.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so.
Oh, and by the way, it's hotter in Minnesota than in Florida, so I amazingly have you beat this week.
Interesting. It's pretty hot down here, but I believe you.
I know. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, so now we've covered all the action items, right?
Yes.
Everybody agree with that? Okay, so now going to the discussion items, 5. We already did the design review. So 5B was follow-up items. Is that something specifically you had, Brandon?
It's just a standing item that we have for anything that we might need to follow up
okay.
on.
So one of the things I know we talked about, we wanted to discuss, or I wanted you to explain to the rest of the board, was about a proposal that staff might have about changing the rules on some of the quorums on some of the things.
Yeah, so this is the only board in the city that requires 4 members present to take action. There is one type of request that does require the city commission to have a supermajority, but this is the only board. It's not part of the city's ordinance. It's actually part of the rules that were adopted when this board was the Aesthetic and Historic Review Board back in the early 2000s. We are proposing to take a resolution to city commission at the next meeting, which will be before your next meeting, to reduce that down to 3 for everything but substantial improvement variances. So any kind of substantial damage or improvement variance that this board would typically see would remain at 4 members. It would be a 4-member quorum and a 4-member to approve. So they would still have the option to move that forward with a full board, or they could have action taken with 4 for all other actions, that would be local designation, the certificate of appropriateness cases we saw today, both demolition and for improvements, those would be able to proceed with a 3-member vote. That is what we're proposing.
Okay.
So.
And now, everybody, I'm sure everybody understands that, and, you know, we've had some recent issues because of some members not being available for a variety of reasons that we couldn't do. Even though we had 3 people, we couldn't vote on some of these action items. So I think we all agree we'd love to see that go forward, so I just wanted to make sure you all aware that's in the works. Okay. Talking about meetings and quorums and stuff, so you think that would apply, that might, if it goes through, that would happen by the next meeting?
Correct, yes.
Okay, because the next meeting is for July 9th, and I kind of have a conflict right now. And so I want to make sure, and of course Holly's not here, I wanted to make sure that we're going to have 4 people, but I guess we can, if it goes through, we can technically have 3. So I guess my question to the board members here, is anybody planning on not being here on July 9th?
No.
Okay, so we should be able to, even if if I'm not here, we can go forward. So Sean, you'll have to be in charge if you can handle
I
that.
get to handle the gavel again.
Okay. The other thing, I don't know if what else did I add? I want to talk about plaques. And this is kind of for the new member as well, because, you know, one of the things that we are, you know, asked to do or be involved with, one of the few powers we actually have is the creation and installation of plaques. Although there are historic plaques, there are other ways to go around that, not around it, but other ways to achieve that. But being said, I would, and we talked about this the other day, I would like people to start thinking about some things that might require historic plaques. It's my belief, I feel, that the more we get out there, the more we can make people aware that there's historical stuff going on, and it's always good advertising. For example, I was thinking the Beach Theater, that should have a plaque in front of it, in my opinion, okay? I think the Wharf now, with all the information we have about Harry Bell, and there's a lot more detail, you know, I mean, for example, just one little tidbit, there's a little separate structure there at the restaurant on the left-hand side before you walk inside, and I've been told that structure was actually on a dock, like on 11th or 12th.
Yeah, is that
where Harry Bell first had his little fishing store, I guess, back like in the early 20s, and they moved that up to that location. So there's a lot of really interesting history about that location, and I think that would be something that would be viable for a plaque. So I'm not trying to get an answer now. I'm just saying I think we should, if we can all start thinking, there might be some other things y'all could suggest. And if there's you know, things, you know, I was involved in putting a plaque there at Mary Pier, spent some time in putting that together. You know, we would want to have something written out that we could look at. But I think the Beach Theater for sure, and then the Wharf are 2 things I can think of right off the bat that we might want to go forward with that kind of stuff. So I would ask maybe for the next meeting or the meeting after that, we just do an update and talk about whether there's some other areas we think could require plaques, all right? And it doesn't have to be in Paso Grill, you know, I mean, by any means. And, you know, there's a lot of not designated historic areas specifically, but that would start discussion about areas that maybe should be, and you know, you know, I mean, I sometimes think about the area where Gigi's is, right there on the corner of 46. I think that building's been there for a long time. In fact, I think it was like a strip club at one time, believe it or not, like in the 50s or 60s, called the Gangplank or something like that. I've heard somebody supposedly say. I'm serious. So there's probably some historical aspect of that building there that I don't know if we want to have a plaque that talks about, you know, St. Pete Beach first strip club, but you know, there is, some of those buildings are pretty old, is what I'm saying. And so I encourage our new member to look at, you know, think about that stuff as well. Okay, anybody have anything else? Was there anything else that we wanted to discuss, or I wanted to discuss? Madam Clerk, I think that was it. Oh, think that's it. All right, anybody else have anything they want to add?
I'm good.
All right, adjourned. Thank y'all. By the way, the house on 14th, it's